Welcome to Gente on Air on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com. Now, here is your host, Larry Rodarte.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. I am your host, Larry Rodarte, and I'm here in Saginaw at the Alpha Media Studios bringing you this program about Latino concerns, contributions, and culture. And tonight we have a very special guest. I'm so excited. A comedian who has been making people laugh for many years now. Every once in a while we get that celebratory guests on our show, and tonight we have one of America's foremost comics who hails from Mexico and was raised in East L.A. He is a prolific artist with nearly 100 film credits, but best known as a comedian and, in my opinion, a comedic genius. I've seen him live on 2 occasions, and I have laughed nonstop. He's an advocate, too, trying to bring more Latino representation on screen. Some of you may remember him from A.K.A. Pablo or Resurrection Boulevard, Fixing Paco, 1,000,000 to 1. Who remembers that? My guest tonight is the legendary Paul Rodriguez, and he's heading to Saginaw October 15th as part of the Latin Kings of Comedy at the beautiful Temple Theater. He's got quite a story. Please help me welcome Paul Rodriguez to Mi Gente on Air. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I'm just over here in Los Angeles suffering with the heat here, but other than that, every day above ground is a good one.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on my show because you are, like, in my opinion, the comedic genius, a legend. You probably get that a lot. And I really want my audience to know, who exactly is Paul Rodriguez? Can you tell me a little bit about how you've been a big part of pop culture for so many years?
Well, talking about myself is, well, it's not always easy. I mean, I don't see myself as those accolades that you've given me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I just like to see myself as a journeyman, sometimes staying there is a lot harder than getting there, and just being around for a while. People will call you things like a legend and stuff. I guess it's a nice way of saying that you're old, which I certainly am. I'm about to be my 68th year, and I'm still at it. I still have the same complaints as always. I think we are woefully underrepresented for many reasons. Most of them are I guess, our fault in a sense that we're passive. But, here I am. I'm still trying to stir the pot, trying to start a revolution, trying to make a noise and stay relevant. That's always been my goal.
Well, you're one of a few comedians who has had the longevity of your career, and you have television and movies and comedy. I mean, I don't think there's anybody near you in terms of when you came up at a time when you had groundbreaking shows, like A.K.A. Pablo. I remember that. I remember watching that, and it touched my heart because it was a Latino on television. We never had that really before in the 80s. I think it was 1984.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. You would think that today we would be very mundane or common on American television, but it seems like we've regressed. Really, we haven't really moved forward. We have more channels, more opportunities, but there seems to be less of us. But there are some stars and actors who continue the fight and will represent us good in the future. But it's always been a struggle. I don't really know why. America has always liked the Mexican-American culture per se, but they haven't used us in it. They still really don't understand us, I guess. They're still trying to figure us out. And it's a struggle that goes on. Not too long ago, about a year or so ago, I wrote a play called The Pitch, which was a protest, really, because I come from Teatro Campesino, And remember Luis Valdez always saying that theater is a way of protesting. And the pitch was a show that we did at the Los Angeles theater, and that drew a lot of crowds. And it was basically about a person auditioning for parts, parts that were not that were damned if you do, damned if you don't. In the sense that if you got the part, then that means you did it the way they wanted to. It had nothing to do with reality. Hollywood's always been confused. You got Pancho Villa being played by Antonio Banderas, and you have to this day you got Fidel Castro being played by Franco.
Yeah, I saw that.
So nothing has changed. It's been 40 years, and who knows? I mean, Carrot Top will probably play Diego Rivera soon. So nothing surprises me.
Well, I'd like to hear your perspective on the Latinos in Hollywood, because with the streamlining of Netflix and Amazon and Apple TV and all, it just seems like there would be more roles coming. And I know that there's even some shows like your son Paul Rodriguez as well, on the Selena the series,
which was just a great series, by the way.
Yeah.
Not just because my son was in it. I thought he was great, but it's I saw it, and I knew Selena well. I know the Quintanilla family, and I think even they had problems with it. But you can never have it your way in a sense that there's so many disappointments. I'll give you a perfect example. Cesar Chavez. They did a movie about him, and I knew Cesar Chavez, not just casually, but I mean. I knew Cesar very well. I mean, since I was a young kid, I come from a migrant farm worker family,
right?
And the Cesar that they portrayed on this movie and the Cesar that I knew were two different people. They were I didn't think the movie did justice to him, and why this is I don't know. I thought the actors in it were good and competent and all that, but the story itself wasn't the Cesar I knew or the struggle I knew, and maybe that's why the movie didn't do well.
Is it a lack of? Would you say maybe that there isn't the Hispanic or Latino perspective by the writers, or
they really don't care.
Wow.
That's blunt, but it's truth. They don't care. They don't. Our story. If there is, we have a great culture, for example. And the first thing we got to define is who are we talking about? If we're talking about Mexican Americans, we're so subdivided. Are we Chicanos? Are we Mexican Americans? Are we Americans of Mexican descent? Or, it's all these labels, but there's a lot to it. Today the market is so. You have to understand the overall picture. I think here, Netflix, for example, or America movie making, they're making movies by committee. That is to say, they'll have a story, and then they got to put a Chinese guy because the Chinese market is so big, and then you have to put an Indian guy because the Indian market is so big, and then when it comes to Latin Americans, Netflix buys most of this stuff from Mexico or Spain, so they figure it's a lot cheaper to get those than to do original programming, because they figured who's going to watch original programming, and the market is so small in their eyes, But I've always advocated for the fact that we should make programming for the fact of the entertainment value, not because you're trying to please one group or another, And
yeah,
it's a complicated issue that won't be resolved anytime soon,
Well, you were one of the first that came out and said, I'm Mexican. And in a day where, we have the term Latinx now, we've had the term Hispanic for years, Latinos. I mean, what is your take on all of it? Because, you really stood up at a time and said you're Mexican. Nobody else was.
I detest Latinx.
Yes.
I don't think it's our creation. I think it's just an amalgamation of Hispanics, we're it's a term that they invented to try to encompass or to try to bring people together. But I think it's done the opposite. I mean, I've never referred myself as Latinx, you know, and I also believe that it's it's really labeling is really a waste of time because you know what other people think of you is really none of your business, you know, and in that sense that um, it really doesn't matter because I think what matters is the content of your work, you know. I mean, when you do stand up, you're not out there saying, "Well, my comedy is just for so and so." I mean, you're trying to make everybody laugh. You're not just appealing to Latinx or Latin B, or I guess all that started with the 2000s when they started to label whatever generation you're from. You know, are you a baby boomer or are you a Gen X or a millennial? You know, these are terms that try to explain something that's not explainable. You're in your mid 30s, mid 20s. You know, you're not Latinx Generation B or some kind of combination of those things. It's just confusing.
Yeah, labels. Well, I want my audience to know, how you got involved in comedy, because I heard you on an interview and it was really interesting because, like you said, you come from a migrant family and you excelled so quickly and so fast, and you were able to buy your parents a home, and it was a real highlight for you. Can you tell us that story?
Well, you know, it's a very common immigrant story. I was born in Culiacan, Sinaloa, a state that now is famous for exports, let's say. And but really, I have no connection to that. My parents brought me here when I was three, 3 or 4 years old. Around that time, I don't have memories of it. So I really grew up American. You know, my father saw that there was no future for his children there, and he immigrated legally, and it's one of the greatest gifts I think my dad could ever have given us. You know, I mean, immigration is so difficult now, and it's such an issue now, and it's that's how you grew up. You grew up just going from place to place and harvesting whatever the season was. So I've not really changed. I just choose a different crop. You know, I go from place to place. I'll be there in Saginaw on the 15th, and from there I'll go on to Canada or wherever I go. It's just my life on the road. Just trying to have observations on things. You know.
Well, how did you get from working in the fields? And I understood you were trying to be a lawyer at one point in your life. How'd you go from that to the comedy club?
I wanted to be everything when I was a kid. Everything, you know. I wanted to be a fireman. I wanted to be a ball player. I wanted to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor, a cop, a robber. The only thing I could find is to be an actor that encompasses everything. You know, in my lifetime, I'm able, even if it's pretend, to do all those things that you want to do. You know, to be a fireman, to be in all these movies. I've been one thing or another, but it wasn't something that I could tell you as a child. I dreamed about. I remember going to see Cantinflas movies at the Broadway Theater in Los Angeles with my father. You know, they had the double feature. They'd have an American film, a cowboy film, a Roy Rogers, and then they'd have a Cantinflas movie as a bonus. And we sat there for hours going through the Roy Rogers things to get to the Cantinflas. And so I guess that's where at first thought about, man, it'd be nice to be up on the screen, you know. But it wasn't something that you told your parents or anybody else because it's crazy. It just wasn't in the cards. And how it came about in my life was totally accidental. You know, I was in the United States Air Force, and then when I got out, I went to school on the GI Bill, and while I was going to college, I took some acting classes, and that led to an audition for a movie, and so it was totally accidental. You know, I guess you have to believe if things are meant to be, they are. You know.
Yeah. Well, Norman Lear played a big part in your.
And he's still alive. I just saw him.
100 years old. Can you believe that? I just saw that. He celebrated his 100th birthday this year. But
yes, and he's all there, man. The guy looks exactly the same as when I met him almost 40 years ago. You know, he's man, some science ought to grab him and study his genetic pool, because he's mentally there. He hasn't lost his capabilities. He has a terrific memory, and I have nothing but wonderful things to say about this guy who had the vision. You know, I remember when we did this show, and although the show failed, he himself knew that he was going to continue to try. You know, he's done a lot for Latinos. He to this day he's working on some other projects where he's trying to bring Latinos to television, and for that I commend him. I think we owe him a great deal. He's not only helped me out, but he's helped a lot of other people. Not too long ago, I think he was on Netflix with One Day at a Time, and he continues. He told me he had several other ideas and scripts that he's working on. And at 100 years old, my God,
100 years old. Wow.
You know, at my age, all I can think about is sleeping. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I wanted to tell you, you know, I'm wearing this coat here. This is a coat from the 80s. It's purple. I think I probably bought it for Prince or something. I don't know. But I just had my class reunion this last weekend, and I wore it, and I could fit in it 40 years later. So isn't that something?
It happens to all of us. You know?
I'm wearing it for you because, you know, that's when you came up in the 80s. And, you know, I remember, like I said, watching AKA Pablo. And, you know, I was like, yes, finally, you know, I seen myself. I seen somebody that, you know, looked like me on the screen, and they were telling, you know, and you were funny. And it was wonderful to see that. So to me, you know, it was a success in my eyes, because I seen somebody nationally that was representing Latinos who was Mexican. So,
well, you know, you're like the three-legged cat in a sense. You know, you're the oddity. A.K. Pablo was a sad and you know, and wonderful experience at the same time. There were a lot of great actors that I was surrounded with: Hector Elizondo, Katy Jurado, a lot of Mario Lopez was in it. You know, he was my nephew. He was like 6 years old when I first met him, and today he's in every hotel room. And you know, so in that sense, it did have a success. What it didn't have success in, and even I knew it then, is that the producers got a Puerto Rican, a Cuban, a Mexican, all Latinos there now. To white America, we all sound different. You know, we all sound the same with the same accent. But to Latinos, the big criticism was, how come this guy has that accent and your mom has this accent? And right away by the accent, we can tell that you weren't Mexican, you're Puerto Rican, you're Cuban, you're this. So that kind of broke the fantasy of whatever story you were trying to tell. Having said that, it brought me out of poverty, and it made my parents happy in the sense that I was able to get them, buy them things, you know. And for that, it was a success. But artistically, other than the fact that ABC took a chance and put a TV series on with Mexican Americans, that was the only novelty. And ABC has continued to do that. I understand George Lopez has another show coming out, and he had a show that was successful. So, you know, we can't curse the darkness. We got to, you know, thank ABC for at least having lit a candle there. And I wish CBS and NBC would get on the ball and do that. But they don't seem to have that much interest in it, you know?
Well, you know, before streamlining, and you know, we look back at some of the shows that you've been involved with, and they were groundbreaking. Resurrection Boulevard. I mean, that was a wonderful show. And the cast there, I mean, you know, that
Peña,
yes,
rest in peace. I did Tortilla Soup with her, and she was a wonderful actress. And I missed Elizabeth. And we were scheduled actually to do a movie when she passed. You know, that was a sad situation, but you know, I continue to try to work. After I finish talking to you, I'm gonna pack my bags and take off to Canada. I'm gonna be doing an episode of A Million Little Things, which I'm semi-regular on that show, and I'm gonna film there and come back and continue to edit this movie that I've been trying to do for many years. And just project after project. There's another movie out there called, let me see, Tomorrow's Game. It's a baseball movie that's getting some good attention. I wrapped another movie called A Wedding Made in Heaven, and so on and so forth. Just try to continue to work and to practice, my skills, I guess.
So, there's so many that you have in post-production right now. I was really surprised. I was like, man, you're busier than ever.
I am. I'm trying to stay busy. Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're doing the Latin Kings of Comedy, so you're touring the country. You're going to be in Saginaw October 15th.
Yeah.
And
I wish I was there now, because it's around 100 degrees here.
Yeah. Oh, we got pretty cool weather right now. But what is it that drives you this day and age? You mentioned, you're in your 60s now, and like, what is that like for you, the drive, after this pandemic that we all just went through?
Well, it's more difficult, I mean, I've had a terrible couple of years. I was in New York when the pandemic, when COVID first hit. Now, we didn't know it was COVID. We were filming Clifford the Big Red Dog, and I got really, really sick. I didn't know it was COVID. Later, I found out it was COVID. And I came back to Los Angeles. I was doing a play, and that's when the pandemic hit. And then when I went to get tested, they realized that I've had the virus already. So I got the antivirus or whatever. Yeah, I did that, but it was quite a hassle. But a few months after that, I had open heart surgery, which I attribute to COVID. And I've been trying to recover, and I have recovered. But I'm feeling my ears, and my years of traveling are coming to an end. So the nice folks at Saginaw, if you ever wondered about seeing me live, come and get it. I don't think I'll be traveling that much. I'm slowing down the personal appearances because it just takes a lot out of you, to travel from place to place, But I'm trying to finish this commitment that I made with this company, and traveling with my friends and Gilbert and Dennis Gaxiola, and Johnny Sanchez, and who I'm missing, my friend Joey Medina.
Joey Medina, yeah.
We have a lot of fun traveling. These are dear friends of mine that I've known for years, and the show's been terrific. Every one of us talks about a different perspective of the Latino culture, so that part is fun. But physically, I'm my health is catching up to me. All those years of good living, I guess, have caught up to me, and I'm just taking it day by day. I try to stay busy. I want to stay busy. Okay, I don't want the death to find me sleeping. I want to fight it and hang on and try to do as much as I can. But I'm realistic about it. I see my health declining, and I have to face that. Not with any regret, but with the same way I've always faced everything in my life. Bring it on. I'll try to do the best I can, and that's how it goes with me.
Well, very few people have had your type of career, so involved with comedy as well as the movies and television at a time, when they were groundbreaking shows, and the comedy just stood out amongst all. You really make people laugh, and that's a beautiful thing and a beautiful attribute to have. We're going to go into commercial. We'll be right back with Paul Rodriguez, the legendary performer, and he's coming to Saginaw October 15th with the Latin Comedy Kings. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Gente on Air on WSGW.
Well, I just want to invite everybody on the live stream to come on in, give comments, or if you have any questions for the great Paul Rodriguez. He's here with us on Mi Gente on Air before his show coming in Saginaw, and he's in Los Angeles in the hot weather over there while we're over here in the cold weather. So if you got a question for Paul, now's the time. We got a lot of people in the room, and we want to hear from you because that's what Mi Gente is about. It's your show, my people, and we're going to go right back into the show with the great comedic genius, in my eyes, Paul Rodriguez.
This is Mi Gente on Air on WSGW.
Welcome back, Mi Gente. And we are here in the Alpha Media Studios, and I've got Paul Rodriguez. He's in Los Angeles, and he is with us before his upcoming show at the Temple Theater. And if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, please do so because it's going to be a great show. We've got the Latino comedic genius as well as his friends, and he mentioned them, and one of them is Gilbert Esquivel, who is a Saginaw native, and I know his sister Rachel Anaya. Great family. And tell me what your relationship has been with him, and what do you know about Gilbert and Saginaw?
Well, Gilbert's El Catrín, you know, he's a guy that's very jovial. We've grown old together, Gilbert and I, and I've known Gilbert for the better part of 30-something years, and you know, he's always coming out with something new. He's El Catrín, you know, he's very flashy, always likes to dress up, you know, he's the best dressed guy of all of us. You know, he goes out there with this nice suit, and he has a very comedic mind. He has his own point of view, you know, and he comes out, he opens the show, and he introduces us. He's the MC, and he keeps the show rolling. You know, we've had a lot of shows that we've done together in this tour, and people love him. You know, and I'm glad to come back and you know, and you know, hit the home run sometimes not. You know, at the end of the show, I after all these guys come out there, and this tour really works. You know, it works because like I said, Joey Medina has this perspective on life. Sanchez is hilarious in his own way, and Dennis, and every one of us are different, so we're not talking about the same things. You know, me, I'm more philosophical and topical, I guess. You know, I talk about things that are important to me, I guess. You know, and by de facto, I hope they're important to the people. You know, I talk about for example, the war in Ukraine. You wouldn't think it's funny, but I find it hilarious that this is a war between white people and whiter people, you know. So for us, it's you know, for Latinos and blacks, we're kind of like it's like watching the Winter Olympics. You know, we don't have a dog in this fight. We don't understand it, who's what, what's who, and it's a different way of looking at things. You know, I talk about that, and I talk about you know, all these things that are going on, and how important it is that how surprising it is that people find time to come and see us, you know, and we try to make them laugh. We try to earn their money, you know.
Well, you know, I've seen you in Flint, Michigan. I've seen you in Detroit at the Motor City Casino.
I've been everywhere.
Yes, I was just in awe, though, because, you know, you were so fluid, and just things just kept coming out one after. I'm like, wow, he doesn't even hardly breathe. And it was so funny, gut wrenching. You talk about the chancla and your mom throwing the chancla at you. And do you remember any of those? I mean, how do you come up with the material that you do for your shows?
Well, I don't remember exactly what I said. I don't repeat shows pretty much because I try to talk about what's going on, you know, what's going on with me, and you know, to try to do the same jokes, but there are topics that are always will cross cultures and everything, and it's talking about the human values, you know, the things that we all do, the things that bring us together, you know, the food, the way you grew up, the sayings, those things that connect you, you know. But I've always played my audience, you know. If I'm in front of an African American audience, I talk about those issues. If I'm in front of you know, I try to read the audience, you know, because you're there for them. So, you know, you don't do a show for yourself. You try to work the audience. So wherever I'm at, I try to adapt. I try to make myself understood, things that they'll find funny. And that's how I've done it for 40 years, you know.
Well, I was at that Motor City Casino concert, comedy show, and you were the headliner there. And I remember just laughing so much. And then I went up to get another drink at the bar, and I was feeling pretty good. And all of a sudden, you came from behind a black curtain, and you looked at me, and I looked right at you. You're standing face to face, and you said, "Hey, you want to go to a party?" And I go, "What kind of?"
No, you're trying to tell the audience that I try to pick you up or what?
No, 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 no. But I said, but I said, what kind of party? Because I was feeling pretty lit. But you invited us to the party that was on the top floor of the Motor City Casino. It was a disco party, and they had these peace sign necklaces that got you in. We got like 12 of them because I had 12 people, and it was the most incredible night. It's one of the most memorable nights, if not the most memorable in my life. So
Those were my drinking days, The doctor took that away from me, but I've always been like that. Wherever I go, I try to fit in. Who wants to party by themselves, right?
Right,
So,
right.
I do remember the Motor City Casino. I played that twice already, I think, and then from then on, I try to do the tours around the Midwest cities close by. Not too long ago, I was up in Michigan. I played several cities there, and then it kind of gets hazy. So many places I've been, but I just stay on the road. It gives you a good pulse of what people are thinking about in those particular cities, and it's you can't sit here in Los Angeles and guess what people in Michigan are doing, or what people in at the Upers in Minnesota or Wisconsin. But in my 40-something years, I have been to every major and minor city at least twice, some places far more times than that. But I guess it's my migrant farm working roots. I'm still on the road. I'm still doing it.
Well, you mentioned somewhere, I remember reading you said something about picking sugar beets in Minnesota.
I did. Those are ugly things. I'm glad they got machines to do that now.
Yeah, well, that's part of what our area here in the Great Lakes Bay region, Bay City, has sugar beets, and that's one of the things Madonna got hit on for, was because she said it was a real smelly little town. But that's where she's from Bay City.
Yeah.
But
now she looks like a sugar beet.
But that's really, that really touches our hearts to know, that you're somebody who worked in the fields like so many of our parents, our grandparents who migrated, from Mexico, Texas to.
Well, our folks came to America to do humble jobs, and I remember seeing what the sun had done to my dad, and what the soil had done to his hands, and it's one of the most thankless jobs there is. Every time you hear Americans complain about Mexicans taking jobs away from Native Americans, or I don't know what they're talking about. Nobody is rushing to be migrant farm workers. This is one of the hardest, most thankless, and necessary job. I've always said that. Before you have your salad, your romaine lettuce, your tomatoes, whatever you have, I want you to know that almost 100% that there was a brown hand that picked that food. Those tomatoes were touched by a Mexican long before you ate them. Every salad tells a story. And this is something that America should know. We are an important. This is not the only thing we do. I mean, our parents come from these immigrant countries with the hopes and dreams that their children will not do that job. Somebody else will do that job. But it is a very important and thankless job. I can't think of anything more important than putting food on the table. And this is what we do.
Yeah, the backbone of America, truly.
Absolutely, America functions on us. Really, I mean, they talk about all these hordes of people coming across the border and all this other stuff. Are you going to tell me that America, with its might, military and intelligence, that they couldn't shut that border down airtight, that you couldn't have anything cross the border? If they wanted to, they could. But they're hypocrites. They don't want to close that border down. On the one hand, they'll cuss and blame all their problems on some poor guy named Jose crossing the border. And on the other hand, they need that guy to clean rooms, to be maids, to do all the hardest, most humble jobs there is that makes America function. Not too many years ago, there was a movie called A Day Without a Mexican, and that should have been called a white nightmare, because that's exactly what it would be. So you don't have to thank us, but you do have to pay us and keep us in mind, because it's a thankless job, and we are good for America, and America should be grateful for us.
You went from being a migrant worker, you had that experience, and I understand today you've got 40 acres of lemons of fields. What brought you out of Hollywood to the Central Valley?
Well, I actually bought that farm for my mom, for my parents. I bought that farm years ago, and I had more acreage than that, but I've been getting rid of it. I had a lot of farmland, but I got rid of it because of financial difficulties. But I'll never sell my mom's ranch, so that's where I'll be retiring. That's I'm not gonna make a big announcement, but hopefully I'll be missed. But I'm just gonna fade away and try to do as many movies as projects that I can, but not too far in the future. I see myself going to the ranch and riding off into the sunset, with my horses, my goats, and my lemon. It's a lemon farm.
Well, you'll probably be promoting each of these movies and all that you're involved with right along the way. And
I'm very excited. I should mention to you that I just wrapped the filming of a movie called Born Again. It's got all my friends in it. I have Jay Moore and I star in it, and you have Danny Trejo. I got Tony Plana.
Tony.
I have far too many to I got Catherine Bach. And Born Again is basically about these two old guys who've been doing life on the installment plan, in and out of jail, and we just wrapped principal photography, and I'm currently cutting it. That's why you see my eyes are all bloodshot. I've been in the studio cutting and retooling it, putting music in. I got some music from Tierra. I got the original music. I have Cesar Rosas from Los Lobos working on the soundtrack. This probably more than likely it's my final film that I produced, and I got Rene Bueno, and if it's the last one I do, it's a good one, and it's I even have Gary Busey in it, but lately Gary's gotten into some kind of trouble, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but he plays a doctor, and he's terrific in it. And who else? I don't want to miss out on anybody, but I have quite a cast, and I went to Netflix with this, and they said, well, we don't do movies like that. So I said, all right, I do movies like that. So through the goodwill of friends, and I put the money together, and we wrapped it, and we got Miss Universe. She is in there. We have Luis Guzman. Oh, I was forgetting Luis Guzman, a good buddy of mine. He plays God, and he's hilarious. I got Ari Spears, a great African-American comic who you've seen in Mad TV, and you'll recognize him. He plays Reverend Willie Dollars, who teaches us how to be an evangelist. And it's I've seen this movie over and over again, and I laugh, and I hope that when you see it, you'll enjoy it, because it was my farewell film. It was something that I've been working very, very hard for many years trying to put it together. And it was done with a lot of love, and it was done with the help of my friends. I mean, if I had to pay all these stars what they're worth, I couldn't afford them. But thanks to their generosity, we were able to put it together. We got music from Los Bukis. We got Mexican stars. We have Vergara, and far too many. If I forgot any of them, they may forgive me. But coming to you soon is called Born Again. Religion is just an excuse.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll make sure that we promote it on this show, and promote all the work that you're doing. And I know, like I said, there's a lot in post-production. So get ready, because Paul Rodriguez is going to be all over the screens in the near future. And I want to mention that one of the comments that we're getting here, they said, in your blessed career, because that's what it has been, a really blessed career, 40 years since I think you first came on in 1983, so almost 40 years. Do you have any recent Starstruck stories?
Starstruck stories. Oh my God, who don't I? Well, I've worked with them all. You know, I've worked with everyone from Sir Anthony Hopkins in a movie called The World's Fastest Indian to Clint Eastwood. That was a lot of fun. I've even worked with Will Smith, you know, and I've worked with uh, so
Clint
many.
Eastwood.
Pardon?
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah, I worked with him. He was a terrific guy to work with, and it was like a dream come true. And I worked with Russell Crowe. I did a movie with Russell and Bridget Fonda. I mean, I've had so many memories. I worked with Christopher Lloyd, Tom Conti, Terry Garr, Edward Olmos, my hero. I worked with so many, and you know, I've just been blessed because it wasn't till later in my career when I started taking acting seriously. I began to do plays. I did in San Diego. I went to the San Diego Rep, and I worked. I was doing Barefoot in the Park with Rita Rudner. We were sold out at the Laguna Playhouse when the pandemic hit. I was on my way to Broadway. That's still my dream. I've done everything there is to do except my dream would be to do a play on Broadway, to be part of a cast on Broadway. I got my agent working on that, hopefully. And, you know, just movies. I wanted to retire and go and teach in Fresno or Fresno State. I wanted to start a teatro there, you know, maybe continue the work that Luis Valdez did in my later years. But so far, opportunities are keep coming, and I keep doing them. But you know, like I said, every dog has his day. I've had a week, and I see my physical strength diminishing. You know, and so I have to take care of my health so that I can go to my granddaughter's quinceañera. That's the only. It's the only thing I asked God to allow me to live long enough to do that. I promised her I would do that. And, you know, it's a couple of years from now, I'll go to her quinceañera. Very proud of my son, Paul, who's had a terrific career in his own right. And, you know, I don't ask a lot from God now other than to just give me enough strength to finish these projects, and then I'm good to go. Yeah.
Well, you know, you've known, like you said, Cesar Chavez, you know, the Quintanilla family. And I want to mention, you know, right after Selena had passed away, I attended the Tejano Music Awards in 1996 in San Antonio. And you were the MC for that awards. And at a time when everybody was feeling so heartbroken,
yes,
we experienced, you were up there making us laugh, you know, at those Tejano Music Awards. And so I want to thank you for that, because that was really a special.
I had the privilege of meeting a 13-year-old Selena. I maintained friendship with a familia, and they're a wonderful family. They've done so much to bring pride to America by the way they lived. Abraham is a strict but intelligent and wonderful man who's probably has his detractors, but then don't we all, you know? I mean, you know, but he has represented well, and there are others, you know. There's so many others, you know. When the business in English closed up, I went on in Spanish for 4 years. I did El Show de Paul Rodriguez, where I met so many other stars. I hosted a Premio Lo Nuestro for 3 years. I'm currently working on a 1-hour special in Spanish, and I'm working to do another special in English. So, you know, when my time comes, I want them to find me busy, you know, and I have a lot of things on my plate, and I just hope that I have the energy to finish these things. Yeah.
Well, I think you will. You have been such a remarkable presence in pop culture all these years, especially for Latinos in the Midwest. I can speak to that because I'm one of them who, I've seen you through the years, and I remember the early on careers and A Million to One, and
I've also gotten in trouble. I've rubbed my fellow Mexican Americans the wrong way because I've always been an independent thinker. I've never said I've been right, but I got into a little bit of politics when I was fighting for water rights in the Central Valley, and I made a lot of people enemies who disagreed with me. But at the time, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the governor, a Republican there, I sided with him, and we were. My goal was not to be political. My goal was to bring water to the Central Valley, and whenever you disagree with someone who has another point of view, they're going to attack you. But I stand firm. I stand firm for what I believe. I've always been on the side of Raza. I've always been on the side of the downtrodden, and I've been on the side of the migrant farm workers. And if bringing water to the Central Valley was going to be good for migrant farm workers, and that's what I was going to do, no matter who didn't like it. So even my enemies, or those who my detractors, or those who have criticized, I respect their point of view. But you got to do what you got to do, what you think is right, and I hope that when people, if they should take the time to remember me, they will have to give me my due. That I wasn't wishy-washy. I always stood for the same thing. I stood for us, for the pride, and I try to live a life like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make mistakes like everybody else, but not apologetic for the things that I still believe in, and I still believe that we will have our day. Our numbers are too big, and we should always walk around with our head held high. We are Americans. We deserve. This country owes us a great deal, but at the same time, we owe it our loyalty. If I've always seen myself as an American of Mexican ancestry. And I was in the United States Air Force, so I've never been wishy-washy where I stand when it comes to my politics, which I'm really not political, but I have a point of view, and I'm going to tell you what I believe in. And if you disagree with me, oh well. I'm not going to criticize you, but people they've been vicious, good for them. I stand by what I said.
You have to know, Paul, it's not just you. I mean, we have been a divided country these last couple of years, and I've taken a lot of hits too because of my stance. So I'm right there with you. I know how it is. But I just want to mention that Angelica and Jess Vasquez, they're good friends of mine here in Saginaw. They says it's an honor and pleasure to have you come bless us in Saginaw, people. We love you, Paul. So you can have a lot of people who know of your prolific career, and we really are excited that you're coming to the area. October 15th, that is, at the Temple Theater. And I just want to mention also that we have to support this concert because we got one of our local owns, Gilbert Esquivel. Is that how you say his name? Esquivel, yes. And he's coming along with Paul Rodriguez. And
I'm going to bring him in my pocket.
Paul, it's something, because, I feel like, you're talking a lot about your health and all. And, I'm getting to the age too, where, I have to think of my health as well. But, I hope that as you come here to Saginaw, that that you're loved. You're loved for what you have done through this great career, because I don't think very many have had a career. I'm talking about all the other comedics, that are Latino. Nobody has really had that. George Lopez, yes, he's doing great, wonderful things, fluffy a little, but there's very few of you. And so I just want to welcome you to Saginaw. When you come on and make us laugh, because that's what we need in this country more than ever.
Get ready for it. I'm bringing the laughs and the comedians. So
yes,
it'd be nice to see you. It'd be nice to see all my friends, even if this is my farewell to that area. But I guarantee you a night of laughter. No preaching, just observations.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for being on Mi Gente on Air. I know we caught you a little bit off guard there, and you were thinking it was just a radio show, but we do.
Well, I wanted to do radio because look how I look. I'm kind of tired.
You look great. You look great.
I'll be rested.
All right. Thanks so much again. Adios from Saginaw. We'll see you in about a month.
I'll be there.
Take care, and thank you, everybody, again for watching Mi Gente on Air. Hasta luego.
Adios.
So there you have it. Paul Rodriguez. He's coming to Saginaw October 15th at the Historic Temple Theater. So get your tickets now. Don't wait, because we really need to support this show. And, I feel like he's talking about that this is his last tour, coming to our area. And he has had a great career for so many years, over 40 years. And I could have kept the conversation going, really, but I'm really happy that he gave us pretty much close to an hour. So we're really blessed in that way. And I'm blessed to be able to have somebody like Paul Rodriguez on my show, Mi Gente on Air. So thank you, everybody, for the comments. Joseph Zarazua, that was a long comment. We couldn't get to it on this show because we ran out of time. But I know that there were so many in the room tonight, I see, in a lot of comments. And I just want to say, Mel, Ria, you say, you gave me so many memories I cherish to this day, me and with my dad, and listening and watching you making us laugh. Thank you, and much love and health from Corpus Christi, Texas. So, wow, we've even had Texas people on here. And Alex Ornales, he says, can't wait, very excited for the venue. And Detroit, Danny Cruz said 1,000,000-1. He remembers that great movie where there was the director debut for Paul Rodriguez back in 1984. Can you believe that? And so there's, a lot of good comments. And I know that those of us who have seen him in the past, I'm telling you, he's hilarious, very fluid in his comedy. He keeps it pretty clean. And, I think he's a genius when he talks, because I'm thinking, where does this all come from? It's spontaneous when he talks, especially about our Latino community and our Latino culture. And isn't that what this show is about? Latino culture, concerns, and contributions. So we got a great one coming to Saginaw, Paul Rodriguez. And I thank you all for being on this show and participating on Mi Gente on Air. And it will air on Sunday, 8 p.m. on 100.5 FM and 790 AM. Hasta luego, everybody. Thank you so much again. Ciao.